So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Future of AI online lecture series. Today with us, we have Neena Singh, who will talk about her work on Amai project. Neena is a project officer at the Free University of Brussels, and she works within the Knowledge Center Data and Society, which is a central hub for the legal, social, and ethical aspects of data-driven and AI applications in Flanders, Belgium. The project she works on and that she will present implements citizen science methods to develop solutions for societal challenges with AI. She also has interest in intersection of art and technology, particularly focusing on data, AI, and ethics. And she was also a member of the research group IMEX-MIT at the Free University of Brussels until recently. And she did workshops on data and media literacy, and she also brought pupils to Brussels. She also brought pupils in Brussels in a mobile laboratory. Neena and I actually met a couple of 2 months ago, where we were both invited by Ars Electronica for their Digital Deals Summit. We were invited as experts to discuss the impact of emerging technologies and the AI included from different perspectives, where we were in we were divided in expert groups. And when I met Neena and when I heard what she does, it was only logical to invite her to present her work and share it with us. So Neena, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yelena, for this lovely introduction and for inviting me here. I am really excited actually to present the project because as I was making the presentation and thinking about the work we were doing the past few weeks, preparing for next year, all I kept thinking was like, wow, this is really such a cool project. It's such a cool thing to do. Now let's start with the name. So the name Amai, it doesn't mean anything in English. It is a wordplay on AI, as you can see. The most literal translation would be, oh my. So you could be like, oh my, that's such a beautiful rainbow. So you have this sense of wonderment. It's a very common thing to say in Flanders, like, Amai, dat is een schoon kleedje. Like, oh my, that's a really pretty dress you're wearing. So that's the kind of sense we're trying to convey. And then going on with the wordplay on AI, there below you will see our slogan, which translates to all of us are intelligent, all of us are inspiring, and all of us are innovative. So as Yelena said, it is mostly focused towards citizens, and we want to have an impact for societal challenges. So I'm going to give you, oh, that does not work. This does work. So our mission statement, we want to inspire, advise, and activate citizens around and over artificial intelligence, and where it is present in their daily lives, focused on 4 main topics, and those topics are work, environment, mobility, and health. I think those are the topics that a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking about, where most problems arise. So that's why we chose these 4 themes to focus on. And the idea is that we can all contribute to innovation and participation in Flanders, no matter our background or what we already know. So you see this nice little image. So where did Amai come from? Where was the idea born? A lot of times when we talk about AI or we see AI campaigns, we see these kind of blue eye robot, humanoid, but not really human kind of images. That gives quite of a cold impression, a distant impression, and mostly a, well, unless I'm an expert, this is not for me. We have 4 AI profiles. Those were determined through an AI barometer, which was conducted by IMEC, a tech industrial, in 2019. And so they surveyed Flemish companies and citizens about their attitudes towards AI. The conclusion was that on a citizen and consumer level, there was a lot of distrust towards AI and other new technologies, but as this was focused on AI, the distrust was focused mostly towards AI. And also, a bit more surprising, a deep gap in the expertise on an organizational level. So companies showed a lack of knowledge about AI and how to implement it. Now, from these barometer, IMEC has determined 4 profiles. So you have the AI ambassadors. The word says it itself. It's people who are really convinced of the advantages of AI, what you can do with it. They're very knowledgeable. Then you have the group that is called unknown and unloved. Those are the people who have no conscious experience with AI applications. So for example, if you would ask, like, do you use AI? They would reply no, but they will also have TikTok, Instagram. So they lack a knowledge of where AI is in their daily life already. And there is quite some fear and criticism. So they may find the application of AI quite problematic, mostly coming from a point of, I don't know this technology, so I don't trust it. Then you have the group Anyway the Wind Blows. They chose very poetic names for these profiles. It's nice. And that is a group that has some knowledge of AI, so a bit more than basic, but is quite skeptical. And then you have the group that torn between hope and fear. So those are the people that are quite knowledgeable about AI, know how it can be applied, but have a lot of concerns in regards to the privacy and ethics aspects of AI. Now, we mostly wanted to focus with Amai on the 2 middle groups, so the people who do not really know that much about AI and who have a fear based on this on this gap in their knowledge. And how did we try to engage these people? Well, we decided to ask people, what changes do you want to see? So what is going wrong in your daily life and what do you think could help you with that? So that's the basic question. Like, we're going to go from the bottom to the top. Like, what do normal everyday people without a deep knowledge of this technology need? And could this technology aid them? First, Amai also, just quite shortly here in between, as Elena said, I am affiliated with the Knowledge Center for Data and Society. So we focus mostly on legal, ethical, and societal aspects of data-driven applications. But Amai is a collaboration with Civil, which is the Knowledge Center for Citizen Science. And we are funded by the Flemish government. You will hear me use the word Flemish quite a lot. It is because Belgium has a special construction, funding streams are separated. And so I'm really talking for the area of Belgium in which we speak Dutch, which is Flanders. So that's a short encadrement for that. So in this presentation, what will we do? First of all, I will guide you through the Amai approach, like how do we work, what did we do? Then what did we learn? Because Amai has been going on now for 3 years. We're on the end of the 3rd year, going into the 4th. So we have learned quite a lot about this process. So I will talk to you a bit about what we've learned, then what we will be looking forward to, and then I hope you have a lot of questions that I can answer afterwards. Our approach. Let's start with that. So our main goals, as you saw in our tagline, you have the 3 I's. Here they're translated a bit different. Inform, how is AI part of our life? So that's the science communication part of our project. We have developed an array of activities on which I will come back later, through which we really attempt to inform and educate a bit the general public. Then another key part is involve. We want to involve citizens, so we have a very strong citizen science aspect in this project, in which we ask from citizens, what do you need? But we also ask them to participate in the actual rest of the process. And then the impact. So we aim to make a real impact by using the input from the citizens to fund projects that make their ideas and wishes come true. So that is an innovation part. If you have any questions in between, I think it might be good to note them down for later, or if you have a pressing question, just raise your hand and I can go into that. So, inform, how did we do that? We went on two different paths. The first one is events, workshops, tools. So, really, what you would understand under activities, like being very active. We're active, we're present at large public events. So, every year in Flanders, there's this big science festival. It's called Nerdland. It's geared towards families. And it's really like a festival. You have tents, you have speakers, you have games, you have the big grass fields. And we have a booth there in which people can do certain activities. They can use we always have some computers set up where they can use some of the existing tools. They can participate in a simple quiz. So we try to be present there and engage with people on these events. Next to that, we also have like the small local activities. Those could be, for example, a library that contacts us and says like, hey, we have a lot of senior citizens coming in here and people are asking questions. Would you be willing to do a reading or a presentation geared towards this specific target audience? We have also developed, mostly the past year, a lot of teaching material. So this is not material in which we go directly to the students themselves, but material for the teachers. For example, a manual on how do you create good prompts in ChatGPT. And then we have a few tools on which I will come back after the next slide. So one part of informing the public is really this going towards people, like being where the people are, going towards them, not getting them on online platform, really having this one-on-one conversation. A second part is our online campaigns and media presence. And this year we're really proud of this. We had a collaboration with Het Nieuwsblad, which is one of the biggest newspapers in Flanders. It has 2 million readers daily. Just to put that in perspective, there are 6 million Flemings. So that is like 1/3 of people here read this newspaper. And it was an article series called Man versus Machine, in which the reporter would test certain AI applications and then do the actual thing, work with actual experts. So for example, this is a self-driving car. Now, unfortunately, the car couldn't drive because it rained. So that's also a nice conclusion. It does not work yet. Another really fun article was in which Raccoons, which is a company that creates AI applications, they created a song based on the repertoire of a quite well-known artist. And then they let the artist listen to that song and they were like, well, if I didn't know, I think it was me. So that was also quite a fun thing. They also compared an AI recipe versus a recipe from a cook. So that's kind of the series. So that was a nice collaboration, and we're hoping to continue that kind of collaboration towards next year. We also have collaborations with public broadcasters. So we have good connections with the Radio 2, who contact us whenever they need something more information around AI that's easily translated towards non-experts. And we have a nice little video on our website of the weatherman of the public broadcast who explains how he has used AI in his work. So onto the tools. This is the Amai card game. You can see it on our website. You can order it. It is a board game in which children, because it's aimed towards 8 to 12 years old, but you can play with a little younger, and as adults, you can have fun with it as well. And the goal is to collect the AI applications to create your correct AI tool. So you have a tool and then you have certain functionalities and you need to collect the functionalities to have the tool. So that way children learn what an AI application consists of and what the different elements can be. Then with the Knowledge Center, we also have developed a data walk. So a data walk is where we take you on a tour through the city and we show you all the points, all the data points where information is gathered. And then for Amai, we have geared that more towards AI spotting. So for example, cameras in the public areas, are they using image recognition? So that would be a form of AI spotting. And then the transcribe-a-thon is one of the things we usually do at big events. We use the word transcribe-a-thon because we try to do it on multiple computers at the same time, so people are doing it all at once, and the idea is that people transcribe. So there's this website called Zooniverse. You may know of it. Researchers can post their images and sounds and other information on there, and so you as a citizen can just participate and help tag or identify or describe. And so in this transcribe-a-thon as well, we ask people to participate. And for example, last year at the Day of Science in Brussels, we asked people to work on a project that aims to have image recognition software for memory cancers. So people would see the images, they would see some example images, and then they're asked to like classify, okay, this is a tumor and this isn't. And through the law of numbers, in the end, the software gets trained quite well. So that's the informing part of the project. We go on into involving. So as I said, we wanted to go bottom to top. We really wanted to know what drives people, what they need, what are the things they're struggling with. And so we involve citizens by asking them, how could AI improve your life? So we have done this mostly during these events where we would ask people this question and ask them on, okay, how could AI improve your life? Or what is your idea for a certain challenge on the topic of mobility, environment, work, or health? So people have submitted these questions or ideas. And in the past 3 years, we have collected over 900 ideas, which is really great. And we have been able to cluster them into 34 clusters because a lot of the ideas are kind of interconnected. For example, in the cluster health, we saw a lot of questions coming back in regards to healthy nutrition or towards sports, but these are very general questions, or like in mobility, like a route planner, but more specific for a bicycle, or road safety for cyclists. So we have clustered these ideas, and these are now all on our website. You can visit them. But it didn't just stay with that. What did we do with these ideas? Well, we went into co-creating solutions. So that's where we are moving towards the impact part of the project. Through co-creating solutions, we turn these ideas into actual concepts onto which consortia can work and try to find an try to develop an AI application that responds to this question. So as I said, we have clustered these ideas, and then we had these co-creation sessions in which we bring together the citizens, but also AI experts, companies, academia, and they all work together. And the idea was that they go from a cluster and they try to like funnel it into a more concrete research question. For this, we have developed a method and a tool. The tool, it's the AI ideation cards. It's a really neat set. Each card is kind of a superpower. So it helps you open your mind and think in a different way. For example, a question could be like, okay, look at this problem from an angle of, okay, how could you solve this problem if you had an automatically adaptable user interface? Like if the interface would know automatically who is using it and it adapts. So it really helps you open your mind and try to find more concrete ways of seeing things. And then at the end of a session, we try to have a very concrete question so that consortia can reply to our call with an answer to these questions. An example of such a question could be, how can AI help people that suffer from rheumatoid arthritis so that they can live a more active life and be as present as they like in society? This is an actual question that came from one of these sessions where we had several patients present who have rheumatoid arthritis. And so they worked with an AI expert. And so it was an actual issue that they have, like sometimes we cannot be as active as we want because of our condition, and which means we cannot join in doing things that we want to do because of this condition. How can AI help solve this? And so a lot of ideas went around, like maybe it could give you like tips, like you take a hot bath to relax your muscles, or you have been eating a lot of this, eat a bit more of this so that to next days you might feel better. So that's the kind of ideas that came out of these co-creation sessions. Which brings us to the third pillar of the project, and that's the impact. So each year we do an open call for projects. Now the amount this year per project was 125,000. It depends, it changes. This year, this is the funding we got allocated to give. We also got funding at the start for 3 projects. In the end, it turned into 5 because we had so many proposals this year that the government was willing to add on a bit, which was also very nice. And these calls are open to consortia. And the rule in these consortia is that you need to have at least 2 partners, and these partners need to be from different sectors. So you have the 4 sectors there, like nonprofit civil movements, local government, knowledge institution, IT companies. The reason for this rule of having consortia be made up of different sectors is simply because it allows for a lot more exchange of information. It allows for a different viewpoint. It gives a much broader way and a much more thorough way of looking at problems if you, for example, combine an IT company and a knowledge institution than if you would just have an IT company. Or if you would just have a knowledge institution execute a project, they might focus a bit much on the academic aspect and not really on the real life aspects of it. And then a third requirement is that each and every proposal must respond to an idea submitted by a citizen. So it can respond to, for example, the question we talked about earlier. It can be like a direct response to that. But it can also be a proposal geared more towards like, okay, a pain management in rheumatoid arthritis, patients with rheumatoid arthritis. So it has to be indirectly responding to these ideas. Okay, so we have this open call. Now, what do we do? How do we select these projects that get the funding? We don't do the selecting. For all clarity, Amai does not select the projects. We facilitate the process, but we do not make the call. All submitted proposals go to an expert jury. And these experts, they select from all submissions a maximum of 12 proposals, 3 per topic. So the topics are health, environment, mobility, and work. So they select, based on the quality, 3 proposals per topic. And then we have, since this year, 2 parallel streams. Then it goes to a public voting, So on our platform, people can vote for their favorite project. To mitigate for people only voting for the project they have been called to vote for, we make it, I can't find the word, mandatory to vote for each topic. So for example, the people with the mobility project are doing like a huge call to action. Well, these, for example, 1,000 people that get called up through that need to vote for everything, for each topic to have their vote count. And next to that, this year, that was new, we also have a citizen jury that has selected one wild card. So the citizen jury has operated during 2 days. So we're 15 people, and they themselves have decided on which criteria they would judge the projects, which we found really important because it's not up to us to say what the important criteria are for them. So they have defined the criteria together. Then we had an afternoon in which each of the projects that were selected come to present their pitch. So they have a 5-minute pitch in which they present their project, and then they could ask questions. And then there was a second Saturday during which we went through all the questions. They scored all the projects, and then they decided on a ranking. And so they made a top 5. And the idea was, this is a bit of a complicated bit. So you have one winning project per topic from the website, from the online voting. And then the citizen jury made a 5 best. And whichever of those projects that ranked highest but was not selected via the public voting would get the 5th project. We already know who won for next year, but we cannot communicate yet. So I would say register for our newsletter, and you will hear it in December. And just to give you an idea of how many people we reach, we had 8,100 completed votes and a bit less than 10,000 abandoned votes. So people who did not go through the whole process. Okay, I would like to show you 2 of our projects that really show why the societal aspect is so important, and how you can really make a beautiful and very also media friendly application. Like it's like societal challenges can be very interesting as well. Let's see, I'll try this. This one is Waste Watchers. And their project is a response to the question, how can AI help prevent or help clean up littering? I have put on the auto-generated subtitles because it's in Dutch. It does some weird things sometimes, but please don't hesitate to ask me if something is not clear.
Ieder jaar komt er 11 miljard kilogram plastic in onze oceanen terecht. Daar breekt het af tot microplastics die via de voedsel- en watercyclus hun weg vinden tot op ons bord, waar het de menselijke gezondheid schaadt. Een groot deel van het plastic in de oceanen komt daar terecht via rivieren. Bij River Cleanup willen we het daarom al bij rivieren tegenhouden.
Dit doen we het best vanuit een vogelperspectief met luchtfoto's. Met het Waste Watchers project stellen we iedereen in staat om met kleine, eenvoudige drones zelf het zwerfvuil in kaart te brengen.
Waste Watchers biedt iedereen de mogelijkheid om mee te werken aan onderzoek dat ons in staat zal stellen om efficiënter op te ruimen en zelfs te weten te komen waar het plastic vandaan komt.
Stuur ons je luchtfoto's op en wij verwerken ze met artificiële intelligentie tot afvalkaarten.
Ga naar de website van Amai voor meer informatie en om te weten te komen op welke andere manieren je ook nog Waste Watcher kan worden.
Zo gaan we er samen voor om 100 kilometer van de Scheldeoevers in beeld te brengen.
Okay, I saw some weird things in the translation, so just to contextualize a bit, The project is called Waste Watchers, so a pun on Waste Watchers, Weight Watchers. And the idea is that they use drones to fly over the beddings of the Schelde, which is a long river in Antwerp. And their aim was to have images of 100 kilometers of the Schelde. And what they do that for, they use then image recognition. So the drones take photos, the photos get sent to them, and then they use image recognition to see, okay, where is their waste to see, and they make kind of a heat map of, okay, these are like hotspots, and then it's a collaboration with river cleanup, so they go there and they clean up the litter that has been found. It's really cool, and I do think that the addition of the drones makes it super special. Then the next project I would like to show you is, I'm also going to contextualize already a little bit before we go with the auto-generated subtitles. This project is, it's not the development of an entire application, it's the development of a functionality for an existing app, which is called On Wheels, and which helps people with reduced mobility, and especially people that use a wheelchair, to know how accessible certain shops, restaurants are, if there's a bathroom inside, how wide is the door, how high is the little step to get into, do they have a ramp? So that's what they try to do, so to improve independent mobility.
De On Wheels app geeft aan hoe toegankelijk winkels, restaurants en andere plaatsen zijn voor minder mobiele personen en rolstoelgebruikers. Omdat een deel van deze gebruikers naast motorische beperkingen ook andere beperkingen hebben, vinden we het belangrijk om deze app toegankelijk te maken voor iedereen. Om dit te verwezenlijken gaan Data Roots en On Wheels binnen Amai de kracht van AI inzetten om nieuwe functionaliteiten voor de On Wheels app te onderzoeken. We willen nieuwe locaties sneller en efficiënter laten toevoegen door mensen met een fysieke beperking en het verificatieproces vergemakkelijken voor de beheerders. Zo maken we samen toegankelijkheid ook echt toegankelijk voor iedereen.
So what they did with Stoop is they added the functionality, because their project is already done. They added the functionalities on this existing On Wheels app so that people can talk into the app and give a vocal instruction like, this door is 90 centimeters wide. Now we're talking about people with limited mobility. Often a lot of the people with those kind of mobility problems, a lot of them also have other problems, for example, in talking, like have motoric issues. So it was quite a challenge for them to get the speech recognition in this phase, that it can actually understand everyone and people's idiosyncrasies. So I think it's really very cool what they did in quite a short period of time. And I know they're hoping to elaborate even more, add some more functionalities. They were looking into the functionality of image recognition, where people could take a photo of a door and it would automatically measure. But they focused for this year on the speech recognition. Their stakeholders told them that that was more useful than the images. And they listened to that, which is great. So voila, that was the whole process. Inform, involve, and the impact. So as I said, Amai is going hopefully into its 4th year, which means we have learned quite a lot. What to do, what don't we do. The first big one was our target audience. Who are we going to target? Because you hear me say citizens a lot, I actually mean inhabitants. There's no such thing as a general public. With Amai, we aim to reach the civil society organizations, researchers, AI professionals, policymakers. We try to bring all of them together, but we're actually primarily trying to contact this, what we call the societal implementers. So those are people who are not per se interested in AI and technology as such, but who are very concerned and busy and occupied with current societal challenges and are motivated to think about the possibilities of AI and technology and how they could be used to help solve problems. So for example, when I talked about the patients who have rheumatoid arthritis, well, they were brought in via a patient organization. So that is who we would understand as a social implementer. Also, teachers are social implementers. The people that organize basic education for adults are social implementers. So this is the target audience that we have noticed has the most impact, because it gives you also a nice partnership, and it gives you access to the people who actually need these changes to happen. Then, what we also learned in how to engage people, we started in 21, so that is post-COVID. There were quite some restrictions still, so a lot of our presence was online, which meant that it had to be very accessible, very easy to find, easy to understand, and fun formats that can spark some curiosity. For example, there is a little test on our website, and it says like, how AI is your supermarket visit? So you answer a few questions and it tells you in how many instances you already use AI. So we really try to link to these daily lives of the citizens in a very accessible way. We also use what we call our AI stories. Those are little stories. For example, Lise the doctor is drowning in her mailbox, and it's a 4-panel story of how she uses AI to clear up her mailbox, so how it can help her with that daily very overwhelming task. Then, as you see, we are going towards, but we're also adding on 22, if we could finally go outside again and meet people in person and talk to them. So that's when we decided to go towards where the people are. So that is referring back to like the events and activities, really guiding citizens towards sharing their idea, really engaging in this one-on-one dialogue, having these workshops, having these kind of quizzes and interactive activities in which people can also ask questions. So we don't just push the information, but they can ask and we can hear what they're concerned about. And then this year, so we have the online part, we have the in real life part, both of those stay. And then this year, we had the luck of finding a colleague who is an ex-teacher, and she was super interested in making a lot of material for teachers. So this year we have so much educational material that is ready. It's really amazing. So that is an extra pillar that we added this year. And voila, so we have the educational material, we have teacher workshops, and there's this nice little free AI card game that we will upload soon, that in a very simple way teaches people how large language models work. It's an analog system, but it shows it perfectly. So what we have learned is that online works, but what is even better is to go towards people and to have this actual conversation. Now, I haven't really talked about the entire process of how it goes. What we have learned is that it is challenging to do everything in 1 year, especially if you try to do it like sequential. So what we would have is, okay, we get the go for the project, we prepare, we start activities and gathering ideas in March. In June, we have these co-creation sessions with these ideas we gathered. In July, we have the open call, and in September, the call closes. And then in November, we can start the new project. So as you see, especially with the call being over summer, it's a bit tight to fit everything in. So this year, for the first time, and we will repeat this next year, we have chosen to work with parallel tracks. So in January, we had the preparations as always, but then in March, we launched all of it at the same time. So we have the activities, we started collecting ideas. Now, we did have the luxury that we already had these 900 ideas in our back pocket. So we did not have to collect that many ideas. Otherwise, the parallel tracks would not have worked. And what we also do is we support the funded project. So it's not like here's the money and send us your report at the end of your working time. No, we actively support these projects. We have citizen science sessions, we have ethics sessions, we communicate for them. So there's a lot of support, and all of that starts at the same time in March. So for this year, we have found a more streamlined version of this open call. Now, you need to know, we give a lot of support, but we also ask quite a lot. We ask them to start from an idea of citizens. We ask them to use citizen science. They need to use AI. They must have an AI expert and a societal organization of some matter involved in the project. So because so those are a lot of requirements. This means that they also need a lot of support from us. So we will actively matchmake. So we had a pre-registration for the proposals this year. And we gave them a non-binding advice based on that, but we also looked at pre-registrations that were in the same sector or working on the same topic. So we tried to connect them together, like, okay, well, there's someone else working on this. Would you like us to bring you in contact with that? Or we would have someone with an idea from an IT company, but they were like, well, I'd really like to work with a local government. I need this kind of connection. So we will help them set up these connections. And what we also learned, last year, the budgets were 75K. We learned that that was not high enough. That's why we went to 125 this year. Also, the project duration this year, for the first time, it got up to 2 years instead of 1 year, because 1 year is just not enough for a lot of applications to be developed. And we embedded the call in these existing networks of these societal, for example, patient organization. And then we had these co-creation sessions with them. And then what is always important is that citizens have these final say. So there's the jury, there's the voting. So that's a really important part of this open call. So in short, what are our elements of success? First of all, and I think for each and every project this is true, collaboration and partnerships. We cannot do this on an island. We need to work together, we need to be at the right place, we need to work with people that have knowledge that we don't have. So we have these events, these big events, we have these media partners, we had a collaboration with the Science Center for Children, we have these professional networks, and you really need this collaboration or you cannot do a big project like this. We also involve the quadruple helix. So what do we mean? We mean the citizens, the AI professionals, the civil society organization, and local policymakers. Everyone is involved. And then I think the third part that makes this such a unique and successful project is that citizens are really involved in every step of the process and on different participation levels. So they can participate by giving an idea, but they can also participate by being a test subject, and they can sometimes participate actually in the project itself, for example, with the drones. What's next? Next year, 2024, we have Amai 4 coming up. You remember at the, wait, let me first go to the toolbox. So if you think like this is a really cool project and I would like to recreate it or reuse some elements, we are going to launch our toolbox, which is online. It's an online platform, by the end of the year in Dutch and by February in English. And it offers you all the information you need to create a similar process. We also have all the tools on there that we use. I think it will be a very, very useful thing. Even if you do not want to recreate it exactly, you will be able to find some elements there that you can reuse for an AI project or for a project with another focus. But I really think this toolbox will be very, very beneficial for a lot of people. And then in the project itself, we have decided to again focus a bit more on the group unknown and unloved, because we are present at these big festivals, but we all know that science festivals have a certain public. I mean, it's family oriented, so you have a lot of people coming from higher education with their children. So we want to go now more to the people who really do not have this this knowledge, and we're going to organize a roadshow. So just like you sometimes see these promotional little cars, like for Coca-Cola, like handing out Coca-Cola, we plan on going to 10 to 15 places during summer, markets, at the beach, just like going towards people and inviting them to engage with us in a very playful manner. I don't have the details yet because we just have a very basic idea, but that's something we're going to do. And we have, which is also super exciting, we are now starting up talks for a collaboration with the Centers for Basic Education to develop material and tools specifically for their target group. And since November 22, since the launch of ChatGPT, AI has been progressing in such a way and so exponentially that we have decided to focus again a bit more on the gathering of ideas, like to really have a hard focus on that, because we feel that the ideas might be, or the questions that people have might be very different than the ones they had in the past. So that is our focus for next year. Voila, and it's time for questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Neena, for this presentation. It's such a complex and amazing project. I actually, as you were talking and presenting, I was like on the go writing questions, but then as you would continue with the presentation, I would get most of the answers, but not all. But before I ask you my remaining questions, I would love to first invite everyone present to start with the questions. And we have Jelena Novakovic who raised her hand. Jelena, please.
Thank you so much for this presentation. It was amazing. I would love to hear some more about your informing part and exactly what is the educational things you were giving to teachers and the students. You didn't say that, and it's most interesting thing for me.
Okay, hello, I get that. So the informing part on these events, which is not the teaching part, is mostly focused on showing people where AI is in their daily life. So we have these quizzes like where do you use AI? We have these little talks. We have a basic presentation of what is AI, because I mean people know ChatGPT, but therefore they don't know AI. So that is the part that is geared toward more general audiences. And then the material for teacher is a lot of manuals. So we have a ChatGPT manual. We have these cards to explain how large language models work. We have the Amai game, which explains. I will actually, when I send the presentation to Jelena afterwards, I will add the link to all the educational material, because as I said, it is my very amazing colleague who made all of that, and she made so much the past year that I don't know all of it. She has this little collection also on our website of a few tools that use AI. So it's like an explanation of how does Google Quick Draw work, and then you can play around with Quick Draw. She has an explanation on how Blob Opera works. She has an explanation on how image recognition works. So I will send that link joining with the presentation, and then you can maybe look at these tools when you're more comfortable. And if you have any questions, please just email me and I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Elena, and thank you, Nina. Do we have more questions? Not at the moment. All right, so I was at first curious about the approach to the public, but that was really well clarified. Actually, I was curious when you mentioned the numbers of people who got involved, and the number of citizens that you got involved, which is really, really impressive. And then all the events that you did, when you mentioned Transcribathon, was this the AI training? Like you engaged people, basically like human labor, to train the AI to make it better? So
Yes,
I was thinking about maybe an ethical aspect of that, or how did you make it work? Actually, that's the
it's we prefer not to call it human labor.
wow.
It sounds very exploitative. No, the aim is actually to show people that doing science can be easy. So that is our goal always, to show that it is not yes, of course it's difficult in general. If you want to build an AI program, yes, that's difficult. But you do not need any kind of particular training to understand the basics and to participate in more basic expressions of that. So it's mostly showing like, yes, you too can be a scientist, and yes, you too have valuable input, because, for example, one of the things that we did, I don't remember what the project was named, but it would show, you know how sometimes under photos or images you have this description of what is shown on the image? Well, one of these was, for example, you have images and it asked you to transcribe what you saw on that image, and then it would like collect in general, and then I think it would make connections between, okay, well, this is on the image, so if in another image it also shows up, so that's the description we can give. It is voluntary, first of all. It's just like, you can do this at home, because people also like to be involved. I think we cannot forget that people want to be doing this. There's another citizen science project in Flanders, which is called Curieuze Neuzen. And it asked people, so Curieuze Neus is a very Dutch word to say like, you curious monkey. And it asked people to hang sensors in their windows to measure the pollution. And I don't know the exact numbers, but it was really impressive how many people did this. So there's a lot of openness to participate in scientific research. It's just, it needs to be accessible, and it needs to be on a level that is understandable. And I find that a Transcribathon, it really helps with that. So it's, no, you're not paid to do it, but you're also not obligated to do it for hours. If you do 2 images and you're like, I don't like this, I don't want to do it, you don't. But it can help trigger people who before thought that they were not the science type to engage in science and yeah, contribute.
Yeah,
So
I would
like to feel,
compare the principle with Wikipedia, basically. So, but with AI, it's more, of course, complex and kind of different. But the
yeah,
basic principle is the same, like to participate and to contribute to overall knowledge.
exactly. Zooniverse does quite a thorough vetting of the projects as well. So in regards to guidelines, I don't know them by heart. I should check. But if you upload a research product, it's not like you upload it and the next day it's online. It really goes through a whole process. And it also explains what is the technology that will exactly be developed and how will it be used. So it's you're not training a huge system and you don't know where it goes. You're really, really contributing to a certain problem. For example, the memory cancer cells, you are contributing to a faster recognition of cancer. I mean, it's in a very closed loop. But I get your question of, are you not exploiting people? But that is absolutely not the aim. The reason that we do that is to show people like, hey, this is not too difficult for you. You can do this. This is, and you will find it probably really cool to do as well. So it is like sparking that curiosity and wonderment.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I was not aiming for human labor. It's just that I use the term normally. I like to kind of name the things, correctly. I had another question regarding the second video of the project that you showed. And I was actually wondering, how did they train the speech recognition? Was it like personalized? Because each person with some degree of speech disability speaks differently. So did they train the AI per each user, like to personalize it based on the recordings of that specific person, or did they manage to create an app that kind of more it's more wider, let's say, to recognize speech impairments?
That is a great question, and I do not know the answer. I mean, I remember that when we were there for a session, because we also give each project, we help them do sort of stakeholder ethics session. And I remember that was one of the discussions, like, this is most needed, but we don't know how to do it, because indeed people have their idiosyncratic way of speaking. Some people may have a speech impediment. And so I remember they were really struggling with that. But in the end, they finished it. So I need to check that. I don't know how they did it, actually. It's a really great question. Thank you.
But they did a good job in the end.
They did.
Regardless of the way.
It works. So, but yes, I don't know how.
Okay, I have two more questions, like more general. One is about how you decide which projects get the grant. It's about the difference between public voting and citizen jury. So what's the difference, and how do you public voting? I get it, like online anyone can vote, but how do you create citizen jury, and what's the difference between the two?
Well, yes, the public voting, it's on our platform. It's open for everyone. It's very accessible. So it's like a quiz, so you go from one to the other. It has a short explanation of each project, and then you're asked to vote for the project that you think will solve the most urgent problem within that topic. So that's the basic principle. The citizen jury is much more specialized, is not the right word, but more concrete, in that way that we have asked a company, an organization that specializes in bringing together citizen panels. So we ask them to select, well, not to select, to ask the people that they usually ask for these kind of things, so to go through their database, and they look at, so then people apply, and then they look at education level, socioeconomic, well, you don't ask people how much they earn, but based on like job titles, you have an idea of socioeconomic background, of education, if they have children, if they are married. So we try to get as broad as possible, variety is a bad word. Yeah, we try to be as broad as possible in the people that were selected. These people are also paid for their time. So they're not paid to do a job, but they're paid for the 2 days. It's a vrijwilligersvergoeding, so a fee for volunteers. So it's a fixed rate. So that's a selection process. And then what is different with the public voting is that it goes so much more into depth. So they get to decide on which criteria they will grade these projects. They get to talk to these people themselves. So each of these projects would come and give a short presentation. We also invited them per topic. So you would have these multiple project people who would present their project, and then at the end, after they heard everyone, they could ask them questions. So that gave them also the time to like compare the 2 projects or 3 projects a bit more. So they got the chance to ask questions, and during the presentations, they had a score sheet. And so they could give scores on the criteria that they have defined themselves. So that's day 1. End of day 1, we have collected all these scores, we have input them, we have calculated medians, all that. And then the next week we went back and we were like, look, from your scorings, these are the top 5. And then we went, again, that company, the organization we engaged to find the people, they're also, they're specialized in facilitating these kind of workshops. So they would then guide the people through the whole process of, okay, this is your top 5. Do you still agree? And if you don't agree, why don't you agree? Or if you don't think that this project should not make the cut, why not? You know, so there was these very deep conversations, and at the end, I think all of them really left also with the conviction of we chose the right projects. We really agreed, and personally, what I really enjoyed seeing in that citizen jury is people having nice conversations and disagreeing with each other, but in an extremely civil way, with a lot of understanding. And so a lot of credit for that goes also to the facilitator, but it's a beautiful process, a citizen jury. I can very much recommend it.
Thank you. And finally, it's more of a kind of a general question about the projects. Like you mentioned that the projects were until this year funded for a year, and now they will be funded for 2 years. But what happens when the project finishes? Like, is it sustainable long term? For example, the apps that were developed, do they still live beyond the project duration? Because they're really useful everyday tools for citizens, and it would be shame to. But I mean, this is the problem with all the projects that we work on. But I was just wondering, because this is not like, for example, just an academic thing that when it finishes, it's done. But this is something that people should use long term and continue using. Yeah, so this is why I'm curious what happens after the duration of the project, that is, of the funding.
Yeah, that's a great question. What I really feel that helps with this durability here are 2 factors. The first factor being these consortia, making people work together with a more well, have, like, for example, an academic institution working together with a private IT company. It will create this durability, because this company will not invest unless they can do something with it afterwards. So you have like this interchange between them, and I feel like a consortium really warranties that. Another thing is that a lot of our the people that submit the project proposals, they're often going from their own experience, or they're very driven to fix this problem that they have or that they have witnessed. For example, a project from the first edition of Amai was it's an application that helps people with type 1 diabetes, and it helps them estimate how much glucose they are burning while doing exercise, because diabetes can be weird and it is not like one-on-one, and there's no size fits all. So the application actually tells them how much insulin they need. So that is a very it's a very in the real world application. Or for example, the Waste Watchers one we showed, they started this project with the express intent to use this technology that they have developed, and to use this process to do other things with it. They could also use their map to go to local government and say, like, hey, look, this is being littered all the time. We have to identify these hotspots every 2 months. They're full again, so something needs to happen there. So I really think a lot of the projects have longevity and durability. But yes, the funding stops at a certain point. So if they cannot, like, marketed, it's indeed it stops. But I do feel, seeing from what is still happening since Amai 1, I do feel that it gives a great base to start and to set up something that is durable. Plus,
And it is kind of a continuation of Amai project.
yes, exactly. And that is also one of the criteria that the expert jury judges on. Like, how durable is your solution?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, one more question about the toolbox that you mentioned in the end. You said that it is to recreate the projects funded by Amai. So can you be more specific? Like maybe like is it for other groups of people to do the similar project, or use the apps or whatever for their own projects in different countries, or how does it work, the toolbox?
That is the goal, because as you see, it is quite a big project. It is quite a complex project. It has a lot of facets. And our idea was also, it would be a shame if this all goes to waste, because I think we have developed quite a good system to reach people. So in this toolbox, what you will find is, okay, what is the project, but much more into detail. What are the phases of the project? What is the trajectory of the project? What types of activities? And then for each activity, you will have links to the material, you will have links on a manual. So it will allow you to step by step recreate a similar project with the same setup. And it doesn't need to be geared towards AI, because the method is not specifically AI. So it will be great if we would have like a copy in somewhere, but I mean, it's that's what the toolbox aims to do. Does that answer your question, or is that still too vague?
Yeah, it does, but it's still I'm still concerned about the copyright, for example, or
We don't have copyright. Everything we create is under Creative Commons.
perfect.
The only thing there is a copyright on is the game, because that was not, well, we developed that in collaboration with a company that develops games. So an Irish institution asked to make an English version, and then we really do need to ask for permission. But all our other material, everything we create is just, it's open, it's funded by the governments. I mean, it's publicly funded, so we don't own it. So feel free to comment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neena, for your talk, and thank you so much for a lovely discussion. There's still a bit of time if anyone else has anything to ask Neena. No hands raised. All right, so yeah, we can then wrap it up. And thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you for the next lecture on 28th of November at 6 p.m. Yeah, thanks again, Neena.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. It was really fun going through the whole project like that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We'll be in touch for the presentation, and anyone who would like me to share Neena's presentation, you can contact either her or me. And yeah, that's it. Have a lovely evening.
Great.
And
Yeah,
so
sorry. If anyone has any questions, yeah, you can email me as well. So yeah, that was it. Sorry. Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.